We are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, introduction, and we had discussed this point that what was the result of hearing from Krishna on the consciousness of Arjuna. His illusion was destroyed, and he said, "I shall act according to your word." Now let us move forward. In this world, men are not meant for quarreling like cats and dogs, and also women. It's not that men are not supposed to fight and women are supposed to fight. No. Men must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like ordinary animals. This is very nice. This you can't imagine what the depth of this. This is amazing. You see why? Why anywhere there is quarrel? Quarrel happens when there is sense gratification in the center. If Krishna's pleasure is in the center, there will not be any quarrel. But if my pleasure or my sense pleasure is in the center, there will be quarrel. Whenever a living entity is eager for sense gratification, he will not consider even for a second whether this will create pains for others. But when a person is doing austerity, especially sattvic austerity, mode of goodness, then he will not create trouble for others. Now, Prabhupada is saying men must be intelligent to realize the importance of human form of life and refuse to act like ordinary animals. What kind of intelligence Srila Prabhupada is referring to? You see, animals and men have four things in common, which is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. For that, neither the animals, neither the human beings have to receive any training. I think you will agree with this. It is just swatah siddh, auto mode. Automatically, every living entity knows how to eat, how to sleep, how to mate, and how to defend itself in its own way. So, if a person is acting in these four manners only in a more polished way, then he is only a polished animal, not a human being. And a human being must realize that I have a very special capacity, and that capacity is to understand and hear dharma. As goes in Mahabharata, aharam nidra bhayamaithunam cha सामान्य में तद पशुभि नराणाम धर्मो हि तेषाम अधिको विशेषो धर्मेण हीना पशुभि समाना. Is eating, mating, sleeping, and defending are common things between human beings and animals, but something which is vishesh or special is dharma. Now, what does dharma means? Dharma has many meanings, but dharma means in one sense duty. Animals cannot have a sense of duty. Right from the morning can only think about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Nothing, they can't think. Even if you try to explain to a monkey, "Bhai, we are feeding you bananas, please sit in a line. It is your duty to behave yourself." So that is not possible. It may seem a very simple point, but you see, this is a very exclusive quality of a human being, because if I follow dharma, I get amazing rewards for that. And apart from that, only by following dharma my heart can become purified. So all of us have this tendency of for eating, for sleeping, for mating and defending, but we must regulate them and must refuse to satisfy them in an animalistic way. This has to be regulated. That's what Prabhupada is saying, refuse. Now another one. Just like an animal is born in ignorance and dies in ignorance. So although we were kind of born, not kind of, we were born in ignorance, but we must refuse to die in ignorance. This should be our denial. And if you reflect, we have the capacity to deny things based on a sense of future perspective. If this is good for me, I'll accept even if it is painful. If it is not good for me, I will not accept it even if it is pleasurable right now. This sense is not there in the animals. I give an example. I was in charge of Goshala for quite many years, and then we had very good observation that in the Goshala, if a cow was sick and she was taken to the doctor had to have 5 or 6 people holding the cow because she could not understand that this medicine is for my own good. But do we also need to be taken with by 5 or 6 people to the hospital? No. I have a pain in my hand. Doctor Saab, Doctor Ji, please help me out. So we have the capacity to question, why am I suffering and what is the solution for that suffering? And intuitively, you see, we also want a solution which will stop all our suffering. Wherever there is a promise that going to this doctor will remove all your disease, you see people throng at that place. Even some Baba or some doctor like that. If you see, we have an intuition that we want to remove our suffering. We don't want to suffer. So there's a special intelligence which the human beings have. Now what happens? When we start quarreling over trivial things, then we forget what is our main cause of suffering. We lose our intelligence and we begin to act like animals. Just like in this present world, people are fighting over trivial things. Even India and China were fighting over a land which was of no use, neither for cultivation, for anything, nothing. They're just fighting for the sake of fighting. So individually and collectively, we will see as we become Krishna conscious, the tendency to fight over trivial matters goes away, because we become connected to our eternal reality. Slowly. If there is a higher purpose, then other purposes become side, they go towards the side. Just like when your car is speeding very fast, things which are on the sides you don't see much. This is very interesting. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and this direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. So understanding this, a human being must utilize Vedic literatures. We should get information from Vedic literatures, especially Bhagavad Gita, which very clearly enunciate what is my goal of life, how should I live, so that I make further progress in achieving the goal of my life, which is love of God. I'll repeat this. The instruction is very simple. The instruction is told in Bhagavad Gita, how should I live so that I become more purified, so as to attain the goal of my life, ultimate goal of life, which is love of God. And the instruction is very clearly given by Krishna, bhakti, by the process of bhakti. Animals can kill other living animals, and there is no question of sin on their part. But if a man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature. Now you must have heard those people who eat meat, they justify their eating of meat by saying that even a lion eats meat. But you ask them, can lion read Dharma Shastras? Is a lion eating meat after understanding the Dharma Shastras? No, he does not have that capacity. The material nature is binding upon the tiger or the lion that you cannot eat grass. It's not an option for a tiger that if he does not get meat, he will eat grass. Can you pick up this point? We have an option. We have a facility, and with a facility comes a responsibility. So we have the facility to know what is dharma. This is very easy to understand. We have just now explained this. We as human beings can understand dharma if it is explained to us. The tiger cannot understand. Rather, he's programmed or he's conditioned to eat in only one specific way. We can eat meat, we can eat vegetarian items, but in both situations, we are responsible for respective action or karma which will accrue upon us because we are human beings. I think this is very clear. Example I give many times is that one time we went to a preaching program and there was a small puppy, and that puppy and one tractor driver was trying to back his tractor, and he stepped over, or cannot stepped over, he ran over that puppy. who will who will sue that person? Nobody. So because animals have no intelligence, when they are killed accidentally also, nobody gets put into jail or something like that. But if a human beings happens, it happens with a human being, definitely that person will be jailed or he will be fined and prosecuted. So there, the law also understands that the human beings have a sense of law, and the law is meant for human beings. That's what is being mentioned here. So we cannot just live like animals and say that we will not be punished, nobody is seeing, and like that. No. We cannot say that I did not know the law. No. What is it? Ignorance is no excuse. Suppose, again example, suppose I give my own example. It was into, I don't know, I was around maybe, yes, I was around 17 years of age. Yes. And I was driving my father's bike with my friend, and we were going to watch a movie. So definitely I did not have a license. So the policeman caught me, and then he put me behind the bars for 1 2 hours like that. So it was very shameful, and my father came and this. But I cannot say I did not know. If you are riding a bike, then you are supposed to know that you are supposed to have a license. This is very simple. So whenever we are caught, we will be punished. That's the whole point. Now, in a case of police, we may be caught, we may not be caught, but the laws of nature are monitored or governed by demigods who have their eyes everywhere. So we cannot say that we will behave in non-dharmic way and we will not be punished. And also we cannot say, or we should not say, that if we follow dharma, nobody is seeing, and who will reward me. Both the things, by following dharma will be rewarded, and by not following dharma we will be punished. So this sense a human being must have. And please try to understand, don't follow animals around you. Are you able to follow my point? There are people in the form of human beings, but in the consciousness of animals. And if we take them as our counselor, then we are finished. As soon as you will go on the path of dharma, they will see you are waking up in the morning doing austerity, and they will laugh at you. What is this? What is this waste of time? But they have no consciousness. If you ask them what will happen with you in their next life, they have no sense of discrimination, that if they are doing something, what payment they have to make in the next life. Although they may be in the form of father, mother, and this and that, and you must be noticing that none of our father and mother ever told us about next life and what we should do so that our next life is good. So we're not criticizing them. I'm just saying that be observant that we don't hear from them. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature. The activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eatables also, eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky. Yad gatva na nivartanti tad dham paramam mama. Bhagavad Gita 15.6. So you see, just now I was mentioning this point. Human form of life is meant to deny the interest of the senses. The way animals gratify their senses is not the way human beings are supposed to do. So when we engage our senses in relationship with Krishna, when we sleep for Krishna, it's very easy. We sleep in the night so that we can wake up in the morning and chant around nicely or do service to Krishna. When we eat for Krishna, very simple. When we offer our food to Krishna and then we eat. When we defend Krishna by defending the philosophy of Krishna. Also, we protect the devotees by being misled from wrong preaching. So we can use the defense and mating. Well, you can have two applications of mating. One is mate so that we can have biological children which are devotees, and just change the spelling a little bit. From mating, you say change it to meeting. From mating, instead of mating, you should do meeting. You do meetings and you create Krishna conscious children through the meetings. I think that's an easier way because those children or kids which are created through meeting, you understand meeting, Zoom meetings, preaching, they don't disturb you. They at least listen to you by chanting Hare Krishna. So I would use it in that way, because every one of us have a desire to create. That's not wrong. But how to procreate, and for what purpose, that has to be understood. Everyone is a grahastha in a sense, because everyone wants to create. It's not simply about sensual pleasures. Everyone has desire to create, to take care of children or juniors or something like that. So instead of using, if possible, instead of using for that purpose, it can be used through meeting and create more and more devotees, like that. So if we have this, now I'm not saying just for the sake of fun. Srila Prabhupada explains in Srimad Bhagavatam, when a person with pure actions will have pure mind. No, he says a person can hear Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and then the holy name attentively if he has a pure mind. A pure mind is born from pure actions, and pure actions are born from pure eating, mating, sleeping and defending. So this pure mating, you understand? Otherwise, all these actions are contaminating. We were discussing in Bhagavad Gita in Hindi class. What is that? Prajanas chastvi kandarpa. Mating which is used for begetting Krishna conscious children is Krishna's representative. So that is also purified. But animals cannot do like this. So why I am saying this? Prabhupada has told, as we get purified, ultimately we will be able to reach the destination which is beyond this material sky. You see, we are in a foreign world. We are all foreigners. This whole universe is a foreign place for the living entities, because matter itself is foreign to the living entities. So we are all foreigners. No one is Desi, everyone is Videshi. So then why are we continuing to get more and more births? Because there is a desire in the form of if. What if I was a more tall person? What if I could eat meat? What if there are so many vacancies in our heart in the form of desires? What if I could have got that? What if I could have had this and that? Which is all an illusion, because nothing material can satisfy the living entity. Living entity is absolutely transcendental to matter. Is it clear? So because we are in an impure state, we think that our happiness is going to come from matter. We just intuitively see by eating, sleeping, waiting and defending. So now, as we purify these activities, we cannot give up these activities, but as we purify these activities by doing them in Krishna's service, then our heart becomes purified. Purified of these sense gratificatory tendencies, purified of these baser desires of what if, purified of all these vacancies. And when we leave the body, it will be very easy to focus our mind on Krishna and then go back to Krishna. This is the whole science behind it. So every time, many times you might have thought, why this thought came when I am chanting Hare Krishna. So that thought came because that experience was experienced by us through our senses. Is it okay? So now, how to purify the mind? By engaging the senses in Krishna's service, so that the senses and the mind becomes purified, and mind gets purified of its tendency of aversion of thinking of Krishna. I'll repeat this. What is the purification we need? Right now, the mind does not want to think of Krishna. That is called aversion, dvesh. So as we keep practicing bhakti, our mind and our senses are become purified, and you will see in our heart there is an eagerness which is coming up to hear about Krishna, because a pleasure is experienced when we hear about Krishna. This whole thing is clear. I am trying to explain as possible in the matter of science, how the science of Krishna consciousness works. Then you will be able to understand whether I am making progress or not. In the beginning, there is no eagerness to hear about Krishna. Then we hear, we get some pleasure, and then we want to hear more and more and more. So the more we hear, so whatever contaminations are there in the mind which were causing an aversion to hear about Krishna get destroyed. We will discuss today also in the Hindi Bhagavatam class. But somehow or other, if we come in contact with Krishna Katha, topics about Krishna, they themselves are purifying, and they make us more and more purified as we keep on hearing, and whatever was blocking us or restricting us or was creating an aversion to hear about Krishna, that blockages are removed. So the more we are eager for hearing about Krishna, the more our love for Lord is manifested. And if we have love of God, then naturally we think about Krishna, and at the time of death we think about Krishna and go back to Krishna. So now this procedure may be finished within 1 lifetime or 2 lifetime or 10 lifetime, but once it gets started, it is sure to finish. And be happy that it has started for all of us, because all the devotees who are here because they want to be here. I'm not going to pay them, you're not paying me, but we are discussing Bhagavad Gita because we like to hear about Bhagavad Gita. So this likeness, once this likeness for hearing the topics of Krishna is started for any living entity, it will never be stopped. Unless he does something stupid by hearing about strange things. That's a different thing. That will create more contamination. I hope you're able to follow. That's why Prabhupada is saying ultimately we will be able to reach the destination. That means it may not be happening within 1 lifetime, but once it gets started, it is sure to make a living entity reach to Krishna. So one thing should be very clear. We should never we should never think that we can reach Krishna in 1 lifetime. That we should give up this idea. I'm not saying that you should just relax and not do bhakti. I'm just saying whenever I'm going to reach, since I have come to the process of Krishna consciousness, I'm sure to reach Krishna. And in which lifetime I will reach is all up to Krishna. I will not bother about that. I will try to see how much I am doing actions which will purify me. That itself will increase the purification rate. I'm repeating again. Our concern should be how all throughout the day, not throughout all the days, just today, all throughout the day, if as far as possible, how can I manage to engage at least one of my senses in Krishna's service? Just live day by day, and that is the highest purification possible. Am I able to communicate myself? Just like now we're going to finish Bhagavad Gita, then you can take prasadam or something like that. Just engage some sense in Krishna's service. Now suppose you have to go for job, that's fine. After job, do bhakti. As far as possible. Because every time we engage in Krishna's service, we are getting purified. Second point, we can serve Krishna we can serve Krishna's any of the senses through any of our senses. Just like I was just before the class, I got late because I was cooking some sabji for Krishna, for Giriraj. I like to cook. So anyhow, even if the other person is there to cook, but I want to cook. So I was cooking for Krishna, and then now I'm coming here for Bhagavad Gita class. Before that I was chanting japa. Even I was doing Surya Namaskar, that was just to keep up the body nicely so that we can serve Krishna. So learn this science of engaging some or the other sense in Krishna's service. This is very, very important. Instead of fighting with people, which will waste our time, which will anyhow put us in mode of passion and ignorance also, let us learn to engage one sense or the other in Krishna's service. And that will only happen when we have a very strong foundation of hearing. That will be very impractical if you think that whole day will only hear. That is not practical. But engage some or the other sense, that means through body, through mind or words, engage in Krishna's service. This is called practice. That practice will make us further and further purified. And one more thing, the more you become purified, the more you can experience the happiness which comes by serving Krishna in any of the ways, by hands, by legs, by ears, by any of the senses. Then we become more eager to serve Krishna more through any of our senses. And you see, this is like a feedback circuit, and it will help you to become Krishna conscious. I hope this is clear. Go forward. That destination is called, before that I go forward, I read yesterday in Chaitanya Charitamrita, very amazing point. It is mentioned there that the position of devotional service or love of God is even higher than the position of Lord Brahma. So you see, we are, because why? Because when a person has bhakti, he experiences unlimited bliss. This is literally true. Unlimited means unlimited. How much? Unlimited. So if we are, but that will only be experienced if our heart becomes fully purified by the process of bhakti. So in this life, we work hard for those goals which do not give us any happiness. Do you agree with this? For money, for women, for fame, and for wealth, so many things. Followers. But none of this give us any happiness. Just see the irony. We work like a donkey because we are donkey. Working stupid things. Have we not all done this in our life at some point of in our life? We worked very hard for something which is absolutely insubstantial, and something which is substantial, unlimited. Shouldn't we be patient and working hard for? And the point is, in Krishna consciousness, you don't have to work hard, you have to work smart. Just connect your activities in Krishna's service. This is a simple point. And remain patient, the results are assured for us. That destination is called the Sanatan Sky, the eternal spiritual sky. In this material world, we find that everything is temporary. It comes into being, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and then vanishes. That is the law of the material world. But that is not the law of the spiritual world. Whether we use as an example this body or a piece of fruit or anything, but beyond this temporary world, there is another world of which we have information from the Vedic literatures. That world consists of another nature which is Sanatan or eternal. Jiva is also described as Sanatan or eternal, and the Lord is also described as Sanatan in the 11th chapter. We have an intimate relationship with the Lord, and because we are all qualitatively one, that means same in quality, the Sanatan Dham or sky, the Sanatan Supreme Personality, and the Sanatan living entities, the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatan occupation or Sanatan Dharma, which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. We are temporarily engaged in different activities, but all of these activities can be purified when we give up all these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. That is called pure life. This is beautiful. Those, like, I am in a male body now. Can I say I will be in a male body next life? Can I say I was in a male body last life or even in a human body? We have no idea. But for sure, I was not obviously in this body. So, whenever a living entity is in a particular body, he has to behave in that way. Suppose last life I was a cow. I mean, I'm not saying I was a cow, but I'm saying maybe I was a cow. So, maybe I like white, something. So now I cannot say Hare, I have to so my dharma, my behavior can only be like a cow, it cannot be otherwise. Got it? Suppose last life I was a woman. So then I will have to behave like a woman only. I cannot behave like a man. So even in this life, at some point of time, I was a student. Before that, I was a child. Then a student, then an engineer, and so many things. So in this life also, we see our prescribed duties are changing. Even in this life, this everyone will agree. So living entity is eternal. That means this has no beginning and no end. The Lord is eternal, no beginning, no end. So that the duties which the living entity has towards the Lord do not change. And that is called, so that means when we behave in a way which is in relationship with the Lord, that is our Sanatan Dharma. Dharma means duty and Sanatan means eternal. That will never change. Very nicely put by His Holiness Kadam Kanan Maharaj. Death is not death. What is it? Yes, death for a devotee is only change of body. No, is only death for a devotee only means change of service, not change of object of service. Are you able to follow this point? I am living now. I am trying to serve Krishna. If I leave body today, then Krishna will make arrangement that I get posted, not posted in another situation where I will serve Krishna from that point onwards. This is very nice. Because if a person does not get an opportunity to Krishna or to serve Krishna even once in this life, this kind of assurance that next life also he will get an opportunity to serve Krishna is not there. Is this understood? Even one Mahamantra or something, some chanting, some service has been done to the Lord in this life, Lord will make sure that next life he will start from that point onward. He will not be a lost child. This is such an amazing mercy. Such an amazing mercy. We are somehow or other, all of us have received by the mercy of devotees, and we are passing on to others. But suppose this life I'm a B.Tech from whatever engineering college. Can I assure next life I'll be a B.Tech or something? I have no remembrance. So very interesting. There are two prescribed duties in our life. One which is as per our this body and this life, and another which is toward a supreme Lord, which is eternal. Do you agree with this? Like some of the devotees, I don't know. Asha Mata, you are working in a bank also, is it not? No, I don't know. Bank, okay. So working in a bank is not your eternal duty. Chanting Hare Krishna and hearing Bhagavad Gita is your Sanatan Dharma. So how we should balance our life? We should do our, occupational duty, like suppose for example working in a bank or like Varun Prabhu's HR manager, but do not become overly absorbed in those temporary duties. All of us have to do something to maintain our lives, but we must remember that the purpose of those duties is simply to maintain our life, but main thing is to serve Krishna. And if that is accepted, then a person becomes very happy. We become overwhelmed only when we forget our eternal nature and become absorbed in temporary things of this world. I give a very simple example. Since morning, did you get a power cut? You don't even remember. How many times? See, normally people who are in material consciousness, they will start cursing. Why there is power cut? These people are lousy and this and that. But you as a devotee don't even care. Okay, power cut is there. We have inverter. Even if the AC is not working, inverter is there. Some things are happening. So you see, because we were chanting Hare Krishna, we do the needful, but do not become absorbed in the temporary things of this world. Suppose your hand is paining, so you'll apply whatever medicine, something, but not become overly overwhelmed by these temporary things. I hope this is not so simple as it seems. We will be tested. But I'll tell you a very good secret. If we regularly hear Krishna Katha, regularly finish your rounds in the morning, you are much better prepared to deal with these temporary things. Have you ever felt we were overwhelmed by what a person thinks about us? So in some point of our life, hey, this fellow thinks so much bad about me, but is it not ignorance? He does not see me, he sees my this Adi Bhautik formless body, and I am thinking he's thinking about me. Well, he may think or not think, but what value is his thinking for me? No, nothing, is it not? People may think so many things. First of all, they don't see me, then how can they think about me? And we become overwhelmed by that. He does not love me. And there are so many other people who love you. You don't worry about that. You just don't, you're worried about that one person who does not love you. And you see, so much of our time gets wasted. So why I'm saying this? We should dovetail or align our material temporary duties in a way so that they are aligned with our eternal duty, which is towards Krishna. This is the point. That is called pure life. ठीक है ना? We have 5 minutes, 4 minutes, so we'll read one paragraph and then we stop. The Supreme Lord and his transcendental abode are both Sanatan, as are the living entities, and the combined association of the Supreme Lord and the living entities in the Sanatan abode is the perfection of human life. What is the perfection of human life? This is extremely important. Hear very carefully. The perfection of human life is that after giving up this body, the living entity goes to the spiritual world and remain eternally engaged in loving service to Krishna. It is not that after becoming liberated, we become Krishna or we become merged in Krishna. Anywhere, from anyone, no matter how famous that person is, or no matter how much revered that person is in the society, if he says that we can become God, we must immediately reject him. That's why I'm emphasizing this point. You will see this again and again in Bhagavad Gita. Every time the Lord will explain this, that we are his anshas, we never become merged with him. What becomes merged is our desire to enjoy separately from him. That you got it? We also want merging, but what merging? Our desire should merge with Krishna's desire. Karishye vachanam tava, but not that I become merged. We can never become merged, we can never become destroyed, because we are Sanatan, because we are eternal. After liberation also, our individuality, our existence will continue to exist. We are never ever going to merge in the Supreme Lord. हो ही नहीं सकता. That is impossible. An impossible of goal of life cannot be achieved by any possible means. Understood? Something which is impossible, that is cannot be achieved by anything, any means. So do something which is doable. Okay, then we'll go forward, but this I will like to stop here. So we learned very, very good lessons. What lessons we learned? Human form of life is meant not for fighting like cats and dogs, neither fighting like lions and tigers. Point is, we should live a peaceful life, which will automatically happen by serving Krishna, and pure life. Pure life means pure actions which are in relationship with Krishna, and those actions will purify our consciousness. Ultimately, it will enable us to go back to Krishna and engage in his eternal service. That is the perfection of human form of life as per Bhagavad Gita. So, do you have any questions? No, there are no questions. So we'll stop now. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे।